It's a sad week. It's a sad week. But I greet you all in the name of the Almighty God. Today I want to address an issue that I've been sharing about previously. And as the physicist Feynman taught, that the best way to learn is to teach. And the best way to teach is to share complex issues, facts, lessons in a very simple way. And that's why I've always been telling you, that's why I've been always urging you that whenever I come in the camera and I share an insight, I'm equally learning as you're also learning. And I'm learning from you, from your questions. Today I want to talk about something that I'm so passionate about. I'm so passionate about security and safety. Of course, I do electrical engineering, I do network engineering, I do cyber security. But I'm so passionate on my art about security and safety because this has a direct toll onto the lives and property. Yes, electrical, cyber security and others can have a close magnitude of impact on our lives and property. But security and safety are so critical in this case. And today I want to share about what we call the onion model of security and safety. It's a gold standard in security engineering, of course, physical security and cyber security, which has been there for years, and many countries, many people, many institutions have benchmarked on it. And why is it very important, a standard or a model? It's because with an onion mentality or mechanism, there's an assumption that there is no single system which is perfect. And that's where the layers of onion come in. So as someone who has been designing security systems, alarms, cameras for public places, especially where minors are involved, for example, schools, churches, mosques, I know that it requires a balancing over rigorous different measures. But of course, you also have to maintain a welcoming environment. For example, at a school, for example, at a church, for example, at a mosque. But then a proactive layered approach is not just regulatory, or it's not just a checklist, or it's not about ticking the box, but it's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of life and death. I want to share with you about the onion defense model that I've just talked about, or that I've been discussing even previously, in like using different terms, as I always tell you and assert that the target is not to make things complicated for everyone. So I want to talk about the onion. The onion has layers or has skins. For those who have been cooking, even those who have never cooked, at least you know an onion, and it has different layers and skins. We have the outer skin or the outer layer, we have the flesh. That's the part that you utilize while cooking. And of course, you have the membrane, you also utilize that. Then we have the core. And of course, in security, the outer skin, we call this the perimeter. We call this the perimeter. I don't want to call it the boundary wall because some institutions don't have a boundary wall. But every institution has a perimeter. Even a person walking has a perimeter. Like when I'm walking, I have a perimeter where if anyone goes or breaches that perimeter, I'll get suspicious, and I say, why is this person, getting close to me? So we always want to filter out 90% of threats before they touch them, before they cross the line, before they cross the perimeter. That's the target. That's why most of the security interventions are there. For example, the electric fence, the razor wire, for example, the doors, the metallic doors on your gate and on your house. It's always about making sure that someone doesn't cross the line. It's not like someone will not reach the outer skin of the onion. They will reach there, but then they should not cross. So it means 90% of threat has to be mitigated, prevented from this layer. Then there is the flesh. The flesh, of course, this now it means the threat has gone beyond the line, and this is a very, very critical area. Of course, these are where cameras come in. This is where the traffic is monitored. This is where it's normal for someone to be there, but then they're going to be monitored. And then we have the membrane. The membrane is where the access is controlled, is where we have entry points, for example, receptions, main doors, service entrance. And of course, at this stage, you want to record the footprint. It can be a book for you to record in, or it can be for recording digital footprint, because we are in 2026. So we also have the core. Now this is the internal safety, or the high value assets. If it's a school, these are the lives of the students or the PPUs. And if it's a church, this is where the equipment is kept. And of course, in different scenarios call for different interpretations. The list I've explained the different layers of an onion, or the different skins of an onion, and why we use the onion model. The layers introduce us to a fact that there is no system, or there is no intervention perfect for. Like that, we can say that the fact that I've put there a door, so it's a must. No one will breach this line or cross this line. However, today I want to talk about, still on the onion. I want those layers have four subsets, and under them we have deterrence, we have detection, we have delay, and we have response. And under those subsets or branches, we can have a myriad of security solutions hidden there. But we should always focus on the outcome. Before we install any security system, before we come up with any security solution, before we come up with any safety solution, we should always focus on the outcome rather than what equipment is being installed. The outcome, because it's what guides us on how we are going to maneuver, the planning, the designing, what is required, what is needed. And of course, I'm going to start with schools. It's unfortunate that this week a certain school lost infants. I've not yet gotten the right words to explain such an act. It's not because I've not had such scenarios or even seen them on CCTV footage, both here in the country, in Uganda, and in other countries. But it's because, as a parent, it touches different. It touches different for me to drop a child to school or at school, and then it all turns around to the worst. There's no person who can describe such an incident with the perfect words. I won't mention specific scenarios or incidents. However, schools are very, like I've always, it's not best characteristic schools, but schools in specific are very, 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 very critical areas or avenues where insecurity, where things can turn around in a blink of an eye, because first of all, there's high traffic. The traffic is very predictable, and the traffic comes from different backgrounds. For example, if a school is at Mukono, it has students coming from Masaka Road, from Sanji, Mpiji, Natete, Nakauka, from Entebbe Road, from Machinda Division. Like there's it can be a hotspot for crime, and it's not every day that we think about this, but it's a reality. And schools have a highly predictable routine with a vulnerable population. Of course, those are the students, OPPs. Predictable routine, I mean someone can know what is happening at what time. Of course, there's no school you will find anyone walking or in class at 11 p.m. So that's a predictable routine. You can know exactly what is happening at what time. You know what is happening during lunchtime, you know what is happening during breakfast, and and so forth. And the risks are dual natured. When I say dual natured, it means we have external and internal. Of course, external, those can be intruders, unauthorized parents coming in, vandalism. And of course, we have the internal ones like student violence, arson, or fires, and more. And for example, if an angry, unauthorized adult walks into the gate, how many layers of an onion do they have to pass through before they reach a classroom? Oh, of course, let's not go into the onion. If a person entered your school gate, what happens before they reach the classroom? What happens before they reach the store where you keep the food or the beans, name it? What happens before that person reaches the dormitory? And of course, when I ask these questions, I'm not trying to blame. I'm trying to share an insight that will help us to plan better, to think better. And for example, if a fire breaks out in a dormitory at 2 a.m., how are the students going to be alerted? How are the matrons going to be alerted? Are there exits? Are there exit routes? What happens if a lockdown or evacuation is required? How do you instantly communicate that to every single teacher and student on premise? Because some schools are on hectares, some on kilometers. And of course, schools like churches or mosques, they are also prone to terrorism. We also have hotels. Hotels are built on hospitality and privacy, but they operate 24 hours, 7 days a week, and have a constant rotation of strangers under one roof, under one premise. Remember, they operate transnight. The strangers keep coming in. Some have a restaurant section, some have a bar section. So it means a lot can happen. For example, how would you prevent a non-guest who walked into the lobby from wandering up to the guest rooms, to the bedroom floors? Or how would you track who accessed a specific room and at what time? Especially if a guest reports a missing item in their rooms. Oh, during the night when the staffing is lowest, what technological eyes and ears do you rely on, or do you rely on to monitor the nighttime, the dark parkings, the quiet always? Bus parks are chaotic. They are high stress environments with massive unstructured foot and vehicle traffic. So, for example, with hundreds of people moving out at once, if an incident happens like a fight, broke up, and do you have the cameras with the right resolution and angles to identify the culprit? Do criminals in this area know that they are being watched, and so forth? Places of worship, churches and mosques are inherently supposed to be open, welcoming, accessible to strangers and to everyone, to anyone. However, and then you can't also impose stricter security because it feels contrary to the mission of the church or the mosque. But they are very vulnerable targets, or They are very vulnerable targets to hate crimes. For example, if a man is trying to marry another wife, it can cause it from the previous partners and vice versa, and many other types of crime can happen at church. So we are trying to trigger an insight to all administrators, to all parents, to all adults, and to all policymakers, that we can always look for who to blame. We can always try to react after every incident, and then after a week or a month, we lower down our guards. But it's important because, for example, think of a school like an onion, and the art is the life of the person inside, the minors, the children. And for example, if a stranger or an intruder approaches your boundary wall at 3 a.m., does your system alert you? Are there mechanisms for you to know? Or you will know this after a week or a month when you go through the footage. In the modern landscape of 2026, security and safety is no longer a luxury or a box to be ticked. For schools, hospitals, places of worship, music concerts, name it. It is a fundamental pillar of operational continuity. When we peel back the onion, the layers of the onion approach, we find that the most sophisticated technology is only as good as the strategy behind it. As a researcher at Vortex, the goal is not to just see the threat, but to manage the environment so that the threat has nowhere to hide. For example, in 2026, there shouldn't be bullying. Why can bullying be in schools? Honestly, we can install cameras, we can assess the footage, and we can know who is doing what. Because bullying has actually led, because most of the time we look at the physical impact of it. In schools, we look at the exact reactions, what happens, but it has caused some people to have lifetime scars, mental, because these are places that have a high traffic from different backgrounds with a high I'm looking for the right word, with a variable behavior pattern. Someone is coming from Kawempe, the other is coming from Nansana. So it means we need eyes to manage the schools. And of course, by eyes, I mean the cameras. We need to have a digital footprint. For example, for dormitories, a dormitory has 60 children. Those are easy to manage. You can know who went out at what time. We have the fingerprint, time attendance, watch pass. It may not be cameras, it may not be an access control, it may not be a time attendance register, it can be anything. But the strategy, let's look at security and safety as an onion. Of course, I'm a bit loud, but it comes from the passion I have towards safe and secure environments. Because it's possible. We've done it in many places, and we're ready to do it for everyone. We can consult, and you also need to, even if you're not going to come and consult, you have a broader mind. About the security of the 2,000 students that you have in your school, or the 600 students in your boarding section. Thank you.